Excited. This is our first official public launch as Marketplace.city. As some of you might know, this product started a couple years back with the hard work of folks in New York in building a prototype that would be a directory of technology solutions for city users to come to find, validate, and implement new technology solutions. It's now grown out beyond being a prototype into a full-fledged product for multi-city use and for companies from around the world to participate. So it's a very exciting day for us to be able to launch this, and we have with us here representatives from our 4 launch cities. So New York, obviously being our first city who is on the platform, our launch city. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves once I finish here. We have Dublin as well, Atlanta and Barcelona, who are all part of our 4 initial launch cities. So these cities have worked with us over the last year to help form the solution that you'll see today. So what's very important about our solution is that it was built by the cities and for the cities, with ongoing feedback from the cities all along the way. And we've talked to other cities as well from around the world and gotten their feedback as well, but these folks here have been the most integral in giving us the feedback and really the important data that they want to see when evaluating new technologies. So our goal here is not just to create a marketplace and let people post product information. It's really to cut down on the amount of time it takes for cities to implement new technologies. Because there's a lot of great technology out there, but a lot of companies are afraid to do business with government because of the barriers that they have to cross, the time it takes in order to get your products deployed within a city. So we believe by increasing the amount of information available to those city users, showing the transparency around what cities have used before and have been successful using before, it'll shorten that amount of time for cities to find, validate, and implement. So with that, I'll turn it over to our city officials here. We'll just go down the line. Ask you to introduce yourself, tell us what you do within your city, and most importantly, why you think this topic is relevant for you today. Feel free to give an example of something that's going well within the city, where you can see you can loop this in, or where you've had a challenge in the past, kind of working with a technology solution that maybe you like or your users like, folks that you support within the city, but frankly, red tape or bureaucracy got in the way of you being able to implement something. So I know it's a mouthful, but we'll get there. Let's start with Kirk.
Thanks. Thanks, Kirk Talbott from the City of Atlanta, the Executive Director of our Smart City program. I don't remember all the things I'm supposed to say.
Who are you? Why is this important for you?
Why it's important. One of the big challenges we have is our program has been very opportunistically driven. So as we've encountered vendors and solutions, we've explored where the possibilities are to connect those with departments that have got business needs, opportunities, financing. But one of the things we know we're missing out on is we're not aware of necessarily all the other projects taking place in other cities. And every time we get together with the cities, we find out, oh, okay, you're struggling with that same problem. You solved it a little bit differently. It would have been useful to have known who you talked to, what worked, what didn't. So just getting transparency into what's happening in the market would be very valuable. It would save us a lot of time so we don't have to guess to it. I would say one of the killer use cases for this is a lot of times we talk to vendors, and once we find a solution that we're interested in, forgive me if I take all your thunder, if we find a solution we're interested in, it's really useful to see other places that solution has been implemented so that we can piggyback on contracts so we don't have to go out and competitively procure it again. So it saves us a lot of time and money if we're able to see other places where a solution's been implemented. So definitely a benefit to us in that respect.
My name is Juanjo Lopez. I'm an IT Operations Director in the city of Barcelona. And the way we joined the project was when starting our own marketplace project in the city. More focused. By then, we were more focused on publishing what products we were using in the city for companies or possible vendors, for them to know what was our infrastructure in detail when bidding contracts and so on, and also publishing our plans to contract and so on. But we found an opportunity to work with Marketplace.city to also work out the functions to be able to increase the scope or to grow the range of solutions we investigate and we look for when designing our own solutions. So for us, it's an opportunity to have two, let's say, work streams of work that we will put together in the next year, hopefully. That's basically our aim.
Great. Hi, I'm Jamie from Dublin City. I lead our Smart City program, and we're rolling out a Smart Dublin initiative. And I suppose this is really important for us because we're trying to scale out these, technologies and opportunities in our city, to deliver better services, to create new economic opportunity, and also to better engage our citizens. So the faster that we can find solutions, the better. And I think that's the big challenge: is the bit before you go to the market, being able to see what works, who's delivered it, who's developed it, who the companies are that are delivering it. To be able to do that on a global scale, I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, it's great coming to events like this, but clicking on a website and being able to find some of these validated solutions, I think, is what's key for a city like Dublin. I think what also is very exciting is, like most of our cities now, we're trying to engage startups and local companies to solve problems with us, to co-innovate. And I think if there's a platform for them when they've delivered a solution with a city like Dublin, to demonstrate that globally, I mean, that creates a whole new opportunity for them in terms of how to scale their product. So on two fronts, I think this is a very exciting platform, both from the city and solving problems, but also giving local companies and small companies a chance to scale out their solutions globally. So we're delighted to be working with Marketplace.city on this, and wish you all the best with the scale.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Merritt. I'm the Director of Innovation with the City of New York, and I oversee our Smart City and IoT efforts. It's very fitting that we're launching this here in Barcelona because in many ways this product was born out of events like this. That this is an amazing event. You walk around here, we've got hundreds and hundreds of companies. However, there's only a small handful of us from a city like New York who can come here to an event like this. And we come once a year, and in that moment, in those couple of days, we feel like we get what's going on. We have a sense of a pulse of the industry for that moment. I have 325,000 people that work for the City of New York. So 5 of us are here in Barcelona looking at these solutions. What about those other, 349,995 city employees who just don't have any idea what's happening on the market? And this is an event that happens once a year, right? So those other 364 days a year, we need to be able to see what those products are. We need to be able to do it efficiently. And so I think this is a glimmer of hope that we might have a little bit of that efficiency, that we might be able to begin to turn this very sort of young market for smart city products into something that is actually not just supply driven, but potentially demand driven as well.
I know, having been coming from the vendor community, doing business with cities for the last 15 years, I have a lot of success stories where I found champions within a city who helped our products get in. But I've also had a lot of war stories of where no matter how hard we tried, along with our city champion, for some reason too much red tape and process sort of got in the way, and the solution was never found. So I want to turn that on you all. Do you have maybe an example? And more specifically, maybe you don't have to use the company, but an area that you were working on of where you're able to either partner with the company and other city officials to bring in a new innovative technology swiftly and do it efficiently, hopefully based on the amount of information you're able to find on this company and provide to your peers within procurement or core IT or what have you, or alternatively, one of those horror stories where you really hope the best for a new technology, you saw real value in it for your city, but for some reason just the city couldn't get out of its way in order to implement that solution. Anyone want to take that?
Yeah, never shy.
I can talk all day. Yeah, I think a good example is many folks are probably aware of ShotSpotter, which is one of the most, I think, fastest growing gunshot detection systems right now. And if you look at how New York ended up with having now ShotSpotter deployed across all 5 boroughs, on one hand, it was a very fast process. Meaning in 2014, we decided to do a pilot in in 2 of our boroughs, in Brooklyn and the Bronx. We validated that. By the next year, we had put money in our budget. We scaled it to all 5 boroughs. That's pretty impressive. However, if you look back a little before that, you realize it took at least 5 years to find ShotSpotter. That what we did is one by one, we went and tried out a lot of comparable solutions, none of which provided value until we found that one by chance. And so what a tool like Marketplace does is enable you to actually just understand what are all the competitors up front, how do they match up, and then do some head-to-head testing. So instead of going one after the other and drawing things out, that we can actually go and do it in a much more efficient period of time.
I would say that in our case, whatever business leads the process, I feel we have little problem in finding the right solutions. But finding the right solutions to a business problem sometimes is led by the solution itself. Sometimes you find a really impressive technology, like the one detecting the size of garbage I don't know the word in English. Whatever. Yeah,
the water drain.
Yeah. Okay. Or things like that, and then explaining this to business or the possible solutions around that to business may be a little difficult if you don't have the political support or whatever. In this kind of scenarios, we had problems in the past. I know that, but I expect that solutions like Marketplace, the city can help in sorting out that.
I think, one of the things that's really useful is being able to talk to the cities about the reality of the deployment. Did it work? Did it deliver? Because, the vendor will pitch, this is the most wonderful, awesome product we've ever seen, and it does this and that. But when you talk to the city, it can be a very different story. Is it open? Is it interoperable? If you wanted to scale it out, are they trying to lock you in or not? How do you integrate with other solutions you might have? And they're the kind of conversations that you want to have with a city that you trust, and that's why events like this are really important, to have a trusted network of cities to be able to have those conversations. And I think that's something that we would see as real value.
I think we've seen two areas where this would be valuable. One is we'll encounter a vendor, and that vendor will assure us up and down that they're the only ones that can do something. And then after we do a few months of research, we find out there's more than one vendor in that space. And I think someone else said it, being able to shorten that time cycle from months to days to figure out, is there really a competitive marketplace yet or not, is a really big one. The other end, it's not horribly bad, but we've seen this more than once where we've encountered a vendor that has a fantastic technology or solution, but we as a city are not in a place where we can take advantage of that solution yet. Having a place where we can make sure that vendor gets visibility into other markets has been very valuable. I personally spend a fair amount of time connecting vendors with other cities that have got problems, and I know they're in a place where they can utilize it, but we're not. So making sure that that marketplace keeps moving forward, and a small vendor that doesn't get that press time or doesn't have that worldwide visibility doesn't go out of business before they can mature to the point where they can sustain market drought, if you will. So that's beneficial for us too.
Yeah, we've seen that the studies of the months or years that it takes for many technology procurements within cities. And a lot of times, not only might you lose a company or a company lose interest, but the company technology goes out of date before you have a chance to procure it. So that makes issues for your procurement team, because they're buying a certain version of a product that had certain features and functionality, and might have made a decision on someone who they don't actually purchase until a year or two down the road, and it's new features, new products, new market entrants, what have you. So the procurement process really slows all that down. So looking forward, as cities up here, very innovative cities, we're very fortunate that you all have some major smart city programs and initiatives that are going on within your city. I'd love to give you an opportunity to sort of speak to some of those initiatives that you have. I know New York and Barcelona, for instance, are announcing a new challenge that is part of Smart City around safe intersections. Each of your cities also have a number of initiatives, programs, challenges that you might have where you wouldn't necessarily, we might not see a fit for Marketplace.city, but where the amount of vendors that are out there that might be on our platform and also interested in doing business with your city. what are some of those initiatives that you might see working this in or having an opportunity to leverage the platform and the vendors in the platform as part of your initiative? Anyone? SmartATL, intersection. Jeff, you want to kick us off again?
So one of the things that I love about Marketplace that I think was in some ways, it's so simple and so obvious, but so critical, is putting products in categories that are arranged by how government operates. It sounds sort of common sense, but a lot of times you talk to a company and a company says, just tell me your problems and I'll tell you how my product can fix it. Well, that's not how we buy things, right? And so by putting companies in categories that are arranged like government enables us to easily browse, right? As opposed to just randomly looking around. So, we have two challenges that are open right now. They're going to be open until December 15th, so for another month. And you can find those at nyc.gov/NYCX challenges. So these are challenges that are part of our NYCX program. And they're specifically focused on a neighborhood called Brownsville in Brooklyn. It's a low-income community. It has the highest concentration of public housing. And the two areas that we're looking at is, one, activating public spaces at night, in particular commercial corridors that tend to be vacated after it goes dark. There's a lot of different solutions out there. There's street furniture solutions, there's lighting solutions, and so being able to use a tool like Marketplace to target specific companies that are in those different buckets and to get them each to think creatively and potentially partner with each other is incredibly important. And another challenge that we're doing is focused on zero waste in public spaces. So in particular in public housing, when you're trying to move forward a recycling program there or a organic waste recycling program, it brings a lot of different challenges. So potentially you not only need the waste companies, but you need the folks that potentially focus on building management systems and have experiences working indoor as well. So I think the ability to target companies based on those sort of different buckets and make sure that they apply for these challenges is so important. Because otherwise, how are we spreading the word? We're spreading it out on Twitter. We're spreading it out, perhaps through media, and we're only hitting a certain network. And being able to really target networks in the way that you can through Marketplace is really important.
I think what we're seeing, a lot of the, I suppose, more progressive smart cities are starting to take this challenge-based approach, because I suppose the traditional procurement method just is a disaster. You over-specify what you think the solution is, and the outcome is always wrong. So this idea of having a loose challenge, I think, is really where it's all going. In Dublin, through our Smart Dublin initiative, we've financed €1 million worth of challenges, working with 26 different startups, entrepreneurs, solving problems like how do we scale up cycling in the city, make it safer, get better data, how do we address flooding at lower cost, better data, real time to make better decisions. And I think we'll use this platform, to find the right innovators with the right ideas. And as Jeff said, it's that network. It's really hard to reach out to that network. And traditionally, what we do is, we tend to focus on an Ireland, UK market in Ireland, but actually there's a global marketplace. And of course, and that's where the solution is somewhere in Asia or in the West US. We want to find it because we want to solve the challenge to create efficiencies and actually solve problems in our cities. We don't really care where it's being solved, but we want to do it in our city. So I think that's why these type of platforms are really important to us.
Nothing interesting to add.
We have the I don't even know what you call it, the opportunity of an administrative switchover. Our mayor has hit term limits. We'll find out who our next mayor is in a little under a month, and so the city is in a position of pause where we're not putting out any great challenges. But one of the things I love about Marketplace is we don't speak as a singular voice as a city, back to what you were saying, Jeff, about we're siloed in different groups. And one of the nice things about Marketplace is there's a singular place where you can go to see the stream of what procurements are already out there. If you went out on the site, I looked at it, I think Sunday, you had a list of the active IT-related or IoT-related procurements within the city. But because it's in one place, you don't have to go to New York's website and Dublin's website and guess which cities are procuring this week. It gives you one bulletin board where you can see it, and that's huge for us because then we'll get a lot more participants if they're looking in one place, because the week we come up with something, it's there. And I know we miss out on a lot of vendors that would have participated. For some reason, they always tell us about a week after our procurements close. They said, "Oh, I wish you told me about that." I said, "I wish you knew about that." You know, but we miss each other, and having a singular place is very, very powerful for us.
So that's great feedback, and actually that was something that we really prioritized as part of this launch, was to have a place for the cities to be able to publish the initiatives and tenders or RFPs, challenges that they have as well. So that's an area of the site that you all have, sites, right now, and that really any city who wants to sign on to the platform can have their own site to publish things out. What we've heard from a lot of cities, mainly small and medium-sized cities who don't have the infrastructure to manage a website themselves, or their website is traditionally very static in their own city website. This is an area where they have a little bit more dynamic playground where they can publish out the tenders or the initiatives that they have. So it's very important for us. So any city users in the audience, please log onto the system. You can create your own city homepage that you can start sharing out with people what you're doing. So that's information from the city side. I'm curious from your perspective. Information is key to this whole platform, and that when someone builds a profile for their product, they can put a lot of information on there. You've probably seen a lot of information coming from suppliers and vendors, marketing information. Everything sounds fantastic and beautiful, but as this platform is a way for you to share information with other cities and for you to request information from the suppliers, what do you think are those sort of key pieces of information that suppliers should be providing or publishing onto a platform like this that is really going to help you get to that decision sooner?
I suppose the first thing I want to know is where they've done it, what the impact was, and until I see that, there's so many people are pitching solutions that they haven't even tested or trialed, or they're still in pilot phase. So you want to see impact and quick delivery, so if they can demonstrate that, I think that's super important.
I think one of the things that's going to be eye-opening here is when we start to shine light on sort of pricing arrangements and business models here, because that's the area that has to change the most in the next couple years in order for smart cities to really work. And the benefit you have here is not only transparency for us as government, but transparency from one company to the other. Because a lot of times these companies are just trying out sort of different approaches and seeing what sticks, right? And that's not a great arrangement. And you can see what your competitors, how they are pricing things. If they're doing, a software as a service or sort of a licensing model versus if they're actually selling hardware, that type of thing. I think that's going to be really, really helpful. Are they actually doing financing? Are they generating revenue? This is going to push every company further to really think about how to make their product sustainable in the long term.
Little to add, but maybe I'd like to point out that at least in Barcelona, vendors tend to be interested in having a personal relationship with the ones who want to buy, who need to buy. To get a personal impression of what is really needed and to adapt their offerings if needed, or and to make sure that you understand the properties and characteristics or the service or product. Then to me again, the pilot phase will be crucial to find out what's the way they adapt to this kind of work. From my point of view, I will suggest them to enter their information before having the very first meeting.
Yeah, good. Get that quote.
Yeah. We find that we end up spending a fair amount of rework time if we are not aware up front with the technology what ways we can procure it. So we'll do a pilot, we'll do a proof of concept, we'll love it, and then we'll spend 6 months in which we're trying to figure out how do we ethically, legally, procedurally procure them. So if vendors could say up front, hey, this solution was delivered even at a pilot level with a competitive procurement with the city of Dublin. Well, maybe not them because that's international, but New York, right? Something within a jurisdiction that we can cooperatively procure off of, that can shave half a year off the procurement cycle. Because then we can say, it was competitively procured, here's the contract number, here's the means, here's the person you call to validate it, our procurement department can then allow us to purchase it in a matter of months versus a 9-month cycle. So just seeing, I like the idea of the business model. What are the, is it a subscription-based model? Is it an asset-based model? What is it? But also how to procure it is really beneficial to us.
Well, gentlemen, our story is all about saving people time. And I think I've used up enough of everybody's tonight. It's a very busy floor. Everyone has a lot of places to get.